morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk with you all. That's me. Now, some of you may be wondering, what is a 30-year real estate guy doing here talking to you all? So I want an honest show of hands, and I will not be offended. How many of you all have been in a real estate meeting with real estate executives, decision makers, and had them stare across the table at you like this? Yeah, that's me. That was me about 5 years ago. So I worked at CBRE, I've worked at Colliers, and now I'm at JLL. When I was at CBRE, I was managing different divisions for them in the Americas, and there was this tiny sliver of a division off to the right-hand side in the org chart that dealt with environmental impact reports because of putting up rooftop antennas. So it was this very narrow strip, and the lady that was speaking on this, she was a keynote speaker at a conference in the Bay Area. I went to that conference, I heard her speech, didn't understand a word, but I clapped really loud. I was in the background, very enthusiastic. But that evening, what I had was a very interesting experience because I was actually in a room like this, meeting not with salespeople and even junior salespeople, but I was meeting with CEOs of small companies that were leading technology initiatives. I was meeting with COOs that were trying to do the operational stuff. And so when I started asking questions that I had always asked as a 30-year real estate person and never gotten answers, I started asking them questions like, well, what does this mean? And what does that mean? And why do you want to do this? All of a sudden, I was getting answers that I really understood. And so this may seem silly, but when you're in the real estate silo, you're growing up in that silo with all of your compatriots. You speak your language, you have your business motives, you have your acronyms, you have your business models, your clientele, all of your friends go out to your clients, and so you're calling friends, and you never jump out of that into a completely different ecosystem, technology and telecom. So that limited experience, what happened was, as I said, we need people to sit on our side, meaning my tribe, real estate. We need them to sit on our side of the table and help us understand what you all are trying to do and why. Not just what your product is, but what's the business model, where's it coming from, how can it really help us, and how does it map to our business model? So we started a group, and this was when I was at CB, hired a leader for that group. That leader reported to me, and then we started recruiting people in backbone networks, fiber optic networks. We recruited people in cyber. We recruited people in all these rooftop telecom, all these different divisions and pieces of technology and telecom to help us consultant-wise in our real estate world. Now what happened was, by the way, one of my partners in crime is right there, EJ. Raise your hand, EJ. Give a hand to this gentleman, by the way. EJ's been putting up with me for over 5 years now, and I just ping him with all kinds of questions. So one of my mentors and friends. But we had all of these people helping us now in real estate, and what I was doing with them is I said, look, you guys have to speak our language. So I taught them about the real estate business model. I taught them our acronyms. I taught them who our clients were, different people and and what their needs were. And then they taught me their business models. They dumbed it down as much as they could, and I tried to learn it so that I could turn around to our clients and tell them why they should have this group in the room with them in their transactions and in their daily dealings. So that's kind of how this all came about. And then in that osmosis process over 4 or 5 years, we did a number of educational events. This is one of them. We did this at Google's headquarters. We had one at Apple's headquarters. We had one at Intel's headquarters at Chandler, Arizona. And we would invite real estate people in and technology and telecom people in order to meet, understand each other's business model, and then see how you could work together. Now, in the process of all of this, I became kind of this middle person translator. And then JLL called, and they wanted just that. So we started a group, and this is what Richard was talking about, called Technology Infrastructure. Technology Infrastructure. So focused on the hardware that enables the technology within buildings. That's where I'm trying to get my clients to focus. And my clients would be the large institutions you've all heard of, like JP Morgan, Invesco, MetLife, et cetera. But then also corporate users. people like McKesson Pharmaceuticals, Amazon, Home Depot, what have you, trying to help them understand their real estate in terms of technology innovation, what can happen with technology innovation, and telecom innovation. So KMC is becoming a big part of what I'm trying to do for our clients, and there's a number of initiatives that are driving that, which we won't get into this morning because I have to be slow. So, or have to be timely, 15 minutes. So JLL's approach to the fourth utility is to build a bridge, and tech infrastructure is basically that bridge. And if you picture this near ground, that's real estate, and the far ground would be your world. And we're trying to be that bridge across. So Tim asked me to speak a little bit, well, how are we going to do that? And what would real estate's reaction be? And I said, well, history is always a good teacher. Tim and I are both fans of history. So I said to myself, well, what did we do 120 years ago when the other utilities were coming into our building? So around the turn of the century, water was a new innovation. So the reaction of real estate people to water coming into buildings, piped water, and these newfangled inventions called toilets. You're going to put an outhouse in my building? That's real estate's reaction to bringing in new utilities. What about electricity or gas? You're going to blow up my building. That's their reaction. And then the last one, electricity, of course. Click, click. You're going to burn down my building. So real estate, and I know you've experienced this because you all raised your hands, real estate has a bit of a slow approach to taking on new initiatives and to looking at new ideas. But that's, again, why we're here. That's what we're trying to help with. So again, fourth utility, building that bridge. How are we going to do it? We're going to educate and enable. And those are two buzzy words, I know, that sounds too easy. But really and truly, in order to get the two communities together, and this is an ecosystem, this technological world is an ecosystem. You all have grown up in your silos, in your areas, just like I've grown up in mine. We've got to help both sides see the other side's business model and understand how they tick. And then we've got to stick with each other through that process. Whoop, one too far. Stick with each other through that process to make sure that deals actually get done to the best interest of both parties. You have your business to run, real estate has their business to run. We want to make sure everybody wins. So again, that's where we sit, is in that middle. So if you look on the education side, what we're trying to do with our clients, this is our clients, real estate, helping them understand the benefits of a technological approach and the technologies that they're considering. KMC is certainly one of those. But also, how can they drive their goals for their clients, which are professional investors, et cetera? How do we drive those goals using tech? And then how does your ecosystem all fit together so that they kind of have a paradigm for where you fit in? And then on the enablement side, you can see we're trying to guide them to good quality providers. People like KMC, the Intel MRS group, we're very good friends with Intel and others. So we want them to go with good quality providers that will be there for the long haul with good quality products. And that's where we're here. Strength of the portfolio. So our clients usually tend to think of technology as like putting a patch on a rooftop or fixing something that's broken in an individual building. What we're trying to get them to do is think across their whole portfolio. If KMC is good in one building, it can be good across a portfolio of buildings and drive that and leverage that for their goals. And then agreements preserving real estate rights. There's a lot of wonky rules that we have to follow in real estate depending on the structure of our agreements, our investor contracts, et cetera. So we have to preserve all those as we go forward, and we help our clients do that, but then still give you contracts that matter. On the tech and telecom side, it's the same thing, educate and enable. The more you understand what drives my tribe, the better you're going to be able to talk to us and craft your pitches to us in a way that makes sense to us and in our acronyms, in our language, in the way that we do business. We're also going to make sure that you understand the difference in the types of players that you're talking to. There are professional real estate investors that only want to hold an asset for 3 to 5 years. There's professional real estate investors that want to hold an asset for 20 to 40 years. There are governments that invest in real estate. There are insurance agencies that invest in real estate. They all come from different places, different parameters. And then there's corporate users of real estate. They come at real estate in a very different way. And what matters to them in a piece of real estate that they occupy themselves is very different than what a professional real estate investor would think of. So we help you navigate all of that. And then how do these ecosystems fit together? Again, that kind of a spelling out. So the more you understand us, the better off you're going to be in bringing what you have into our world. And then on the enablement side, again, we want to get you to the right decision makers. So if you're trying to make a national deal, I don't want you talking to someone that manages 3 buildings in Houston. Let's get you to a national player, or vice versa. So we want to make sure it's match to match. We collaborate with you through the contracting. We stay on the real estate side, but we help preserve what we need on our end. But then also we help explain why you need what you need in the contract, what it is in your business model that's driving you to push on these certain paragraphs and make sure that they're in there. And we help explain that to our clients as well, the real estate folks. And lastly, again, strength of a portfolio. If we bring 50 buildings to you or 100 buildings to you, can you make that work for us, and what advantages would there be for us? So lastly, I know we need to wrap up here because I'm just the appetizer, the keynote's coming. In real estate world, we need partners that will listen to us. And the fact that Richard and Tim were able to invite me to this where I could actually talk to you all is tremendous. So we need folks that are in for the long haul, which I know KMC is, Intel certainly is. We need folks that will work with us, that will be innovative, because we have a lot of structure that we have to operate under. So if you can be cutting edge with us, we'll be cutting edge with you as best we can. Last, I do want to congratulate Richard. Thank you for joining buildingcybersecurity.org. If you all get a chance to look this up, in real estate, we do not yet have a definition of what cybersecure is. It doesn't exist. So we're trying to do that. EJ's on the advisory board. I'm on the advisory board. Richard just joined the advisory board. We've got major players in insurance. We've got some former Department of Defense folks. Check it out. It's really good. And if you want to get involved, let us know. But I really appreciate you joining that. And then lastly, the future is very bright. The fact that I can be here talking to you all, the fact that I'm working with Richard and Tim on a regular basis, the fact that this conversation is even happening is different than a few years ago. And so JLL's Tech Infrastructure Group is really working hard to build that bridge and to make sure that both sides kind of come together in a group. Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.